So Junior's 2011 manual swapped Crown Vic P7B lives to tell the tale. So we bought this car about a month ago, maybe?
A little over a month now.
Yeah, a little over a month ago. And we bought it basically as a non-runner. But when we got there, as you guys recall from this video up here, that we actually were able to drive it up on the trailer because it started, it ran, we got it on the trailer. By the time we got it home, we've been struggling ever since trying to get this thing to run and figure out why it's not working. And because we have a parts car sitting over there, we were able to swap a few parts without costing us a lot of money to try and figure out where the problem was. Was it fuel? Was it spark? Was it a sensor of some sort? We didn't know. So we started scanning codes, and the codes were giving us 100 different things. A lot of them were transmission related. We knew that because there is no automatic transmission in this car. But there was O2 sensor codes, there was ABS codes, there was fuel pressure regulator codes. And one of the things that we did end up swapping was the fuel rail pressure sensor, thinking, well, if that's bad, then it's probably going to give us the problem we're having. Yeah. We swapped it with the blue car, no change. Couple of things that we actually ended up swapping as well was the throttle body itself, thinking, well, maybe the sensor is bad in there. Nope, that wasn't the problem. Coolant temperature sensor, or cylinder head temperature sensor, which is way down in here. We figured, well, let's change that. That involved taking out the alternator, screwing around in there. Junior messed around with that for a while, breaking the sensor to get it out, putting the new sensor in. That's how you got to do it, unfortunately. And when we were in there, I asked him, just out of curiosity, did any antifreeze come out of that hole? And you said, not much. Nothing. And that led me to believe that we had a leak somewhere. So, long story short, we've got a new intake manifold on there because Junior replaced his P71 or P7B intake manifold, put it back on. We discovered it had a crack, and
don't hate me.
Don't hate him. What did we use for an intake on this thing?
Dorman.
Dorman. We went with the dreaded Dorman. Some of you guys hate on Dorman so bad on these cars. And one thing you got to remember, we paid $1,500 for this car. It's not going to be a high performer. It's going to be just a ripper, something that Junior's just going to drive around, beat the snot out of, because that's what the previous owners did, and it still lives. So we weren't prepared to spend $500, $600, $700 on a genuine Ford intake. We went with the Dorman because it was cheap. Junior, if you guys don't know, works at Napa at a local store, so he gets a huge discount. That means it didn't cost him a whole lot of money. We did all of that. We made sure that we had a new thermostat in here. We got everything all topped up. And one of the things that we also learned was these cars have a fuel module, a fuel driver module, which is in the trunk, in the back seat. And again, we swapped it with the blue car because the blue car still has the original Ford. This one here, again, was a Dorman. So we thought, well, maybe the Dorman product was just a failed part, and it even looked new. Someone has been in here trying to figure out this problem to the point where the previous owner even told us they put a new fuel pump in it. And not to discount that the new pump was a good pump, Junior as well swapped out with a known good pump. No change. Replaced the fuel filter. No change. We started looking through the live data, realizing that the fuel pressure that this thing needs was 270 kPa, which is about 40 pounds of pressure, and it was only reading like half that. And so again, we swapped, we even swapped the computer, the main PCM, off of the blue car for this one. And we eliminated that it was a PCM issue because apparently the PCM controls the driver, which controls the fuel pump, which just vicious circle. And Junior got talking to somebody who suggested to try looking for grounds. I reached out to a few people, tried to get some questions, and they basically said the same thing. Look for grounds, look for wiring. And what it led to was Junior jumping the fuel driver, and it was then pumping about 500 kPa, about twice what it needed, but the car would run. and he drove it around the parking lot here 2 or 3 times. So he plugged in the fuel driver one more time, and the pressure's dropped back down to 270, normal. And right now we're getting ready to take this car for a quick little drive. Probably just down to the gas station, maybe put a few bucks in it, something, I don't know. We're just gonna take it for a rip up the road, see if everything works the way that it should. Worst case, if it does not start or it stalls on us like it has been doing.
Jump the field driver module.
Right, and then that way, that will get us home running super, super rich. But nevertheless, we're ready to take her for a rip. And one of the tools that's been helping us get through this was this CGSULIT SC880 scan tool. They sent this to me, asked me to try it out. And look, it is an absolute lifesaver when it comes to doing some of this diagnostic work. Live data, all the modules on the car were listed there. We could access every single one that we needed, including ABS, HVAC, all that stuff is in there. If you guys want one of these, there's gonna be a link down in the description box below. Make sure you check it out. It's a cheap price, but not a cheap tool. Just a slight problem with the wiper, little tail hanging off of there.
Wiper blowout.
Yeah. So this is the first time we've been able to get this thing up to any speed at all. What do you think?
It's driving.
Yeah. I can still feel a little bit of a stumble in it.
I think it still needs some work, obviously.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You hear that, feel that drive shaft shake.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Steady bearing.
Steady bearing is shot.
But it is also stumbling a bit.
Yeah. You gonna throw a couple dollars in it?
Oh, might as well. It's got some old gas in it.
Yeah. Throw some high test. Oh, they don't have any high test here. Oh well. Throw some fresh gas in it. Anyways, better than nothing.
I'll throw like 20, 30 bucks in it.
Yep.
Once you get going, it actually smooths out.
A little bit. Engine light's out that way.
No, it's on.
Is it?
Screw it, let's keep going. Cruises along pretty good.
Yeah. Does it have a fifth gear?
Fourth. Try fifth. Yeah, it's got fifth.
A little bit luggy in fifth, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it fourth.
In my last video about is the Crown Vic the best used car, if you guys haven't seen that one, I'm going to link it right up here. I had some people commenting, or one person in particular commenting about whether or not it was the proper transmission in this car. I said it was on what, an 07
GT Mustang.
07 GT, not
You
a
said GT 500.
I said GT 500, so that's where the mistake was. It is just a GT, so it's the, was it the 3650?
TR 3650.
Yeah, TR 3650. So when the guy was questioning me in the comments, I didn't have the right answers because obviously he knew a heck of a lot more about it than I did. But yes, I did say GT 500. I did not. That was a misspeak. I didn't mean to say that. GT. So it was a Mustang GT, and that's where the transmission comes from.
This thing drives nice. Like, I haven't felt it yet.
So do you find that the shifter's in the proper place, or do you out of place a little
It
bit?
needs new shifter.
Yeah.
That shifter is garbage. I've got to like.
Yeah, so the shifter is so close to the hump in the floor that when he's shifting, he's got to reach forward or reach down for it.
Do this.
This console's in the way a little bit too, so.
I don't know if that'll stay.
Yeah, well, you could at least move it back some. Well, I guess it's right up against the back seat, isn't it? Give her.
It definitely still doesn't have all its power, but it's running better.
Crown Vics didn't have much power anyway. Watch out for the hydroplaning. We don't need to wreck it on its maiden voyage.
These tires aren't the greatest. They're cracked.
Now, has this thing got the lock and differential?
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Yeah. 327.
Same as your car and what Grandma
Same
had.
rear end as in my car.
Yeah.
It drives along though once you get it going. Like,
yeah.
It's a little bit clunky at first with that throat or the
steady bearing.
Steady bearing being bad, but
well, now you know what your next project is now.
that shouldn't really be that bad.
Right. So one thing that Junior also picked up was a new clutch for this car. Not that we think that it needed it, but it does have a throwout bearing that's making some noise when it's in neutral. So we figured if we're going to take the transmission out to change the throwout bearing,
Might as well change it all.
might as well put a clutch in it. We don't know when the clutch was last put in. If a new one was put in when the swap was done, we don't know that. We don't know that history.
I would assume, but that's assuming.
That's right. You know what assuming gets you is it gets you in trouble sometimes. So we figure for the cost of it, again, he works at Napa, he gets a little bit of a discount. So he's going to end up putting a clutch in it with the throwout bearing and be back in business. And at some point change that shifter so that we can...
I'll be once the car is,
might be one of the last things we do.
road legal.
Yeah.
It's too far down.
It's way too far down. So anyways, let's get this thing back in the shop and we'll close out this video. Now that we've had a chance to take it for a little bit of a rip, it seems to have smoothed out quite a bit and seems to be running a little bit better. I think if we get that steady bearing swapped out, we did notice a little bit of a clunk possibly over here in the right rear. So there's those trailing arms that may have, they got bushings in them. There's 4 bushings altogether.
I know when I did that car, the bushing, all the bushings were completely shell out.
Yeah, so we got possibly some suspension work to do over here, but yeah, you know what I think it is? Say it.
Fucking mint.
Fucking mint, boys. And if you listen closely, you might be able to hear that little knocking noise. Well, that's not the engine. As soon as Junior pushes in the clutch, that noise goes away. That tells us that the throwout bearing is the problem. Another little thing which is pretty insignificant at this point though is that you can hear the fan still running. This thing is up to temperature. It's not overheating, but the fan runs, seems like constantly. So we're going to have to get that figured out. Maybe it means swapping out the fan. And we just happen to have an extra one kicking here from the blue car. Again, that's the benefit of having a parts car. So far, the only thing that Junior has actually had to buy for this thing is what? Intake manifold. Couple sensors. But anyways,
Wait, listen, it's sound like the fan's going down a little bit.
it's slowing down. There you go. So at this point now, we've got the car runs. We can actually drive it now if we want to. We got a few little minor maintenance things to look after. We're going to be doing that, tune up, clutch, the suspension. It's got to go through all that before it'll pass inspection so that we can actually get it on the road and drive it legally. So in the meantime, if you guys want to follow along on this journey, make sure you're subscribed to Olde Carr Guy. If it hasn't happened by now, by the time that we recorded this video, we were 15 subscribers away from 20,000 subs. So if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you go down below, click the subscribe button, hit that bell, and you guys will stay up to date on all the Panther platform videos that we're going to be putting out, not just on this car, but on Junior's 04, on my wife's 07, and we've got a couple of parts cars. We're going to be doing a lot of different stuff with these things. And I've got a whole playlist dedicated to past Panther platforms that we've had that we no longer have in our family. Grandma and Blackjack, as well as the other, what was it, an 07? The blue,
Yeah, the one that was sold.
the one that I sold back to the US. So there's a whole playlist on all those cars. If you're here for the Panther content, there's lots of it here. Stay focused on the windshield, not the rear view mirror. Love you guys. God bless. Let's do it again in the next episode.